And so that's kind of the first layer when I just think about health as an idea. And then this idea of holistic health is one that I'll admit is more something I've only, maybe been exposed to or thought about at a very conceptual level. But something that really resonates with me, is this idea that it's not just about some acute area where you might know that, hey, I'm quote unquote unhealthy, right? Like, hey, my head is hurting, or I've developed shoulder pain. It's very easy to just look at that in isolation. And even within the physical health paradigm, there's a conversation around how, hey, if your shoulder's hurting, it could be that your back is tight or that your hip is tight and actually it's flowing up there. But then there's an even more of a widening of the aperture, which is, well, where's your mood? Where's your stress level? Where's your emotional health, your mental health, your spiritual health? And how is that connected to what you might be experiencing physically? Or the other way around, like, hey, I'm feeling really stressed. Oh, hey, it's because I'm my shoulder's messed up. Like, I don't know. And I haven't made that kind. So I think just this idea of being able to look at health, or when I think of holistically, it's kind of hitting all of those buckets, right? Mind, body, soul, and finding how those things are all intersecting.
For me, when I think about that, and maybe this is helpful too, as kind of just a primer for Jackie's background as well, because we share that, is that, Ren Shui really teaches this idea of, Ming, Yuan Ming. Jackie was reminding me of this as we were getting ready for this episode, that Ming means this brightness, and Yuan means the whole. It means a number of things. It could be the whole or the origin point. And so it's really this idea of this brightness that emanates from our consciousness, or certain traditional sources that talk about the consciousness is like the sun, but we lose that. We don't always have that awareness. We're not always connected to that healing potential that we have inside of us. And so I think that for me, when I think about wholeness, I also think about this consciousness that's coming out, and our ability to kind of join with it, fuse with it, be part of it, trust it and its own healing potential to come forward. So I think that that's actually really important to buzz term of like a holistic health paradigm, the holistic health, that it really is rooted in this deep connection to something I'd say it's like foundational in the world, or there's this like a soulful connection, or a connection to this power of that. What is your idea of holistic health, and how does it contrast to some of our more typical understandings of health, especially in like the Western world and the Western medical model?
It's a great question, and I really enjoyed listening to you two with your clarity around that and your different ways of exploring it. So that's the first thing I would say, is it's so different for everyone. And maybe we could just summarize it in a few words, that for me, holistic health is around working out what the problem is. So you might put that in more traditional terms like diagnosis and treatment. And then this word nourish comes along the line. Those words, nourish, restore, grow, when you are doing those things in life, no matter what your health is doing, there's benefit all round. It just, that shining you were talking about, Gabe, that brightness, it starts to perfuse all the processes that are related to your health, whatever that is. And, you guys and everyone listening knows that there are thousands and millions of ways that we've developed to work on health.
Right, and I thought about where have I encountered some of these kind of ideas in Western medicine is like in the concept of preventative health, like that, we want to do these things to be preventative, to kind of avoid illness, and there's a difference in what I hear in what you're describing, which is about connecting with well-being, uplifting into something in kind of an ongoing process of growth, of elevation. So it's centered around the growth. It's not centered around the prevention of the illness or the avoidance. It's not centered around the illness, essentially.
Consciousness, it's part of it. And it speaks in the language of feeling and image. And it has the ability to be that portal that we can engage with the universe, as Bill Richards said, the eternal world. and it also has its own patterns.
That imagery that you just painted, Jackie, around the heart and it being, what I got is like a gateway, right, to that illumination, to that connectedness, to that spirituality, sense of spirituality, for a lack of a better word, like what's really coming through there. And I'd love to just keep going down this angle for a minute, and wanting to draw the connection between that and health. I think we on this podcast very much value all of the pieces of heart and consciousness that you alluded to. And I wanted to just understand, so what does that have to do with health? Like if I know I can believe within myself, like if I'm feeling connected, whether with nature or with other people or with, the eternal world or divine consciousness or whatever term we use, I tend to associate that with a sense of upliftment.
I'm so sorry. And so I felt into my heart, and I felt all the love that was there, and I gathered chi, and I thought, okay, I'm just going to send him this enormous globe, this beautiful circle of love and care for all the times that I've been mad and sad or whatever and thought it was his fault and not owned it myself. And so I sat and I did it. And in those days I didn't know about using the mind lightly and the power of the heart and the mind. So I did it really earnestly and seriously, and I was like, okay, well, at least I felt much better. And then I came home after 2 weeks, and I said, and after a few days, I said, there was this time that I sent you, lots of love and healing, because I realized how negative I've been in the relationship. Did you feel anything? And he said, is that what it was? Well, next time could you tell me? Because I was sitting at work at my computer, and all of a sudden I had this really funny feeling in my head, and I couldn't concentrate on anything, and I thought, am I getting a migraine? And I was like, I don't know what's going on here, but this is too weird, and I just need to go home and lie down. But actually, when they're going well, when they're all going in the direction of benefiting life, they don't contradict each other. What do you find, Gabe? You're a holistic practitioner.
Well, this conversation brings me back to a conversation you and I, Jackie, had several years ago when I was doing some research on placebo effects, and I was writing a research article on placebo effects. And I think this ties into a number of issues that we think about in the West, really around skepticism, like around these ideas. And I think we touched on that earlier with this idea of, sometimes if you think about the heart, you start thinking about all these kind of Hollywood ideas or these things that actually don't have that much, if anything, to do with what we're actually talking about here, around this deep love and this deep appreciation for life.
So it's good to do it in a safe system and in a safe way.
I'd really like to follow that thread now, and I feel like we have a good conceptual bedrock, to work off of here as far as what we mean when we're talking about holistic health, and having looked at it from a few different angles now. And so the thread I was alluding to is what does it look like for somebody that's listening to this and they're like, hey, okay, I get it, I'm all for it, sold. What do I do now? How do I engage in this idea, or engage with this idea, and actually put into practice some of the principles that we're talking about, and take a holistic approach to well-being, right? And I loved, Gabe, what you said earlier about like striving for well-being, not preventing illness, right? It's like, I think that as a paradigm shift in how we think about our health is super powerful. But how do we build from there? What do we do?
It is a really powerful shift, and it's so present now in the wellbeing science and the wellbeing literature. That's a much younger baby than med. So yeah, in the physical space of the chest, but in the feel and the being of the heart. Like, am I feeling calm? Am I feeling trust? Do I feel open? Do I feel loving? And then opening that state out and feeling the heart in the universe. You know, feeling that infinite ground of love and being. Wow, what is that? It's one of the most profound mysteries and awe-inspiring beauty that we can experience. We kind of touch it when we see or hear or feel something really moving. And then we bring that into the body, and we feel how the body and the body's flow, the body's chi, if we can feel that, responds to that.
I think that's valuable when we go inside. Usually the first thing I experience when I go inside is like lots of thoughts and feelings that are kind of all sort like jagged, or they're all bumping into each other. It's hard to kind of make sense of things at first, and it's crowded. They're noisy.
What just where you started, Gabe, right, with synthesizing around the ways of being. You know, I think there's just a lot there, and a lot of what I feel like we've been talking about is how when you tune into yourself and do so in a way that's authentic and do so in a way that's still safe, right?
And you know how you are weaving this all together to help and uplift everybody. That's what I feel. And so I think my takeaway would be just do it. Just get in there and find out what's there, because it's so amazing. And that's where I'm
beautiful.
at.
Yeah. Thanks, Jackie. You know, as a last thought, I was thinking maybe you've painted us a lot of really beautiful stories and landscapes kind of throughout our time with you today. Next time.